Hello and welcome to the Lipstick Panel. I'm Steve, the bassist from Lipstick.
Hi, I'm Greg. I'm the bassist from Lipstick.
And today we are talking about the ever-excellent Adore 2 by Billy Corgan. Had to get that joke out of the way because it was going to be said no matter what we did. Anyway, joining us today are some fine folks. We've got...
by the way, the name of the album is actually TheFutureEmbrace.
They read it on the...
That ain't true.
The thing that they clicked on.
Hey, who are the guests?
Yeah, so I was trying to introduce our guests here, and then Greg so rudely interrupted me.
I'm the bassist.
You're the bassist. Anyway.
I'm the bassist. I interrupt and break up the momentum.
Yeah. Anyway, we got Gavin Wallace-Ailsworth of Bent Knee.
Hey-o, that's me.
And we got Craig of the Pods and Sods Network.
I'm ready.
And we got James Gameboy himself, Victor.
I'm hungover.
Nice.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
That's why we
Too
record
much
on Sundays.
TheFutureEmbrace partying?
Yeah. Do a shot every time there's reverb.
How are you alive?
Do a shot and say,
anytime the guitar part is indistinct.
There's Victor stumbling shade.
Yeah.
Anyway, Greg, I did my due diligence introducing this thing. You're back to hosting.
Okay, so yeah, welcome to the Lipstick Panel. We're from Lipstick Generation. Lipstick doesn't exist as a band anymore. Anyway, we're talking about Billy Corgan, TheFutureEmbrace. We've been going through the entire Smashing Pumpkins catalog through the show in order.
Is Julia joining us, or is she just sending us hedgehog pics in the chat?
I think she's just sending us hedgehog pics in the chat.
It's fine by me.
So anyway, we're going through the entire catalog in order, but we realized that we absolutely missed TheFutureEmbrace because Craig wasn't here to guide us with his sage Smashing Pumpkins wisdom. And you might be saying to yourself, but wait, this is Billy Corgan solo, that's not Smashing Pumpkins. And I argue that is Smashing Pumpkins. Smashing Pumpkins is whatever Billy Corgan feels like doing, and sometimes his subordinates are along for the ride.
Smashing Pumpkins is whatever Jerry Only wants to do.
So
Isn't Jerry Only, Never mind.
No, Nevermind is Nirvana.
Oh, I see.
Jerry is set the Ray to.
Set the ring, Jerry Only.
Jerry, who hath had the race set towards him.
It turns out that every Smashing Pumpkins song is actually about the Misfits.
So, getting back on track slightly, this album we missed out on, and turns out a lot of people did because it didn't sell very well. So I want to go around the panel and talk about their history with Billy Corgan and TheFutureEmbrace, if they have any. And since Craig, I think you're the biggest Pumpkins fan on this panel, I want to hear your history with this album in particular and general thoughts before we start our ranking.
Pumpkins fan since 93, 94. My fandom has not wavered all that much, although this was, I will admit, probably the low point for me. This is an album that Billy Corgan, I'm that fan that Billy Corgan would admonish on Instagram stories for not giving this album a chance, because of course now everybody loves it, and he's having his day of saying, well, I was ahead of my time. I'll get into my opinions now as we go through the episode, but suffice to say, this was probably the nadir for me, with the reunion with Jimmy, getting things going a little bit, and then I was probably fully in around the time of American Gothic.
And Victor, what is your history with this album in particular and Billy Corgan?
So I was actually just joining the Sleepy Corgan choir around this time that this album came out, and he told me he was going to call it TheFutureEmbrace, and I was like, dude, in 2020 we are not going to be embracing anybody anymore, so this is going to be kind of an insensitive title. And he was like, no, it's going to be fine. And obviously it was a great album, so
I forgot until you did that imitation that Billy Corgan is in fact David Mustaine in Baldwig.
He is, yeah.
I've never seen the two of them in the same room. So, Gavin, what's your history with the future Mpreg and general thoughts on the album?
My favorite part of that joke is you spelled it wrong.
Yeah.
No, I know, but I did that for the sake of being closer to the way it was written. That was the joke.
But then the thing is, it made me feel bad when I went, oh, wait a minute, that's spelled wrong. And then I realized I knew how it was spelled, which means it's too late. But this by the time this album came out, I was kind of out of the Pumpkin circle. I wasn't really listening to anything or listening to anything Pumpkins related all that much then. It was 2005. I was in high school. I was big in my Primus, probably They Might Be Giants, possibly even the Smiths by that point for a little bit, which, hey, I was in high school.
Man, I want to beat up high school you so bad.
Steve wants to take high school you's lunch money and shove it in a locker.
Right?
But Primus, they're cool.
Yeah, I guess. I don't actually
Your kid listen to Primus in addition to all those other bands.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, what a tool.
Look, man.
Nobody
They're
liked
either
about
giants
this.
or they're not.
I never sunk that low. I never listened to Tool.
They're windmills, Victor.
But I remember hearing that Billy was going to do a solo album and kind of being a little like, oh, okay, I wonder how this will be. I want to say I saw the Walking Shade video. Or did I even see part of that ungodly 20-minute movie that he did for this? But,
I don't even recall that.
Oh, is that what all the music videos were from?
Yes, where it's like the flat 2D thing, and he's in the Victorian thing, bouncing happily, singing "All Things Change."
Yeah,
it just is terrible. But I saw him do Mina Loy on Letterman. It would have been
Mina Loy, oi oi oi.
Or as I put it in my list to Greg, Mina Loy (parentheses slight return). And I remember thinking, oh, okay, it's very interesting. Billy's trying to, he's technoing things up. He's and it just didn't grab me. I never bought the album. I never heard the thing all the way through until this week.
And general thoughts on it?
I'm sure Billy likes it, and I'm sure Billy would say that, we don't get it, and it's no one could appreciate it, and blah, blah, blah. But I think some sort of Stockholm syndrome set in last night, because I listened to it a couple of times last night while finishing up my rankings. And then I actually came to really like some of it. So there's some of it that I like. I would not put it among my favorite of his work at all. I wouldn't compare it to, or it's better than some of the Pumpkin stuff, as I'll say throughout this episode. But it's not an album I'm going to go back to a lot. There are certain songs, however, that if they come up in a shuffle, I wouldn't kick them out of bed for eating crackers.
Steve, would you kick these songs out of bed for eating crackers?
Only like one of them. I'd just kick it out of bed in general. I don't know. I would kick the crackers out of bed though. Like this
for eating TheFutureEmbrace.
Future embracing crackers. This is
really is pretty pale.
So anyway, Steve, general history with this album and thoughts, and Billy Corgan history.
So let's see, was this 2005? So I wasn't as extremely online in 2005 as I am now. So I guess I just somehow missed that this album happened. And then a couple of years back, some of the songs started popping up in my Pandora rotation. I was like, well, these are pretty good, but I had at that point fallen enough off the Smashing Pumpkins bandwagon that I didn't bother to go seek out the full album. But then I listened to it in full this week and was like, oh, this is basically Adore Part 2. In general, I find this enjoyable, and my copy of it should be arriving sometime this week, along with the next one. And then
so there you go. Steve liked enough to buy it.
Yeah.
Can I say that I kind of thought that was going to happen with Steve?
Yeah.
You're into the shoegaze masterpieces.
It's true.
Or shoegaze.
Yeah, I'll go next. I'll go ahead and go on record as saying this album is a shoegaze masterpiece.
Oh, geez, Greg, are we going to agree on a random Billy Corgan solo album?
I mean, we actually agree on a lot of music. It's just we make out and when we really bicker about things, but like we probably agree more than we disagree.
What's this about making out?
Well, I'm saying we
Yeah, can you
only
guys
with
turn
tongue.
your video on, actually?
I'm remote today.
Social distance makeout session. We're
Right.
just both licking our webcams.
That was disturbing, Gavin.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm specifically avoiding looking at the chat right now because I know it's just full of hedgehogs. I'm not looking at. I'm only looking at the spreadsheet.
No,
So-
Greg, it's not hedgehogs anymore.
Did it pivot entirely to Emoji Movie?
No one else has gone for it other than me. But I posted 3 separate reviews of the Emoji Movie in the group chat.
All right, I will check those out later. But focusing on this, I probably agree with Steve pretty heavily on this album. Adore being probably my favorite Pumpkins album. This being a sequel, I liked it a lot. I don't think it's nearly as good as Adore. I think Adore is much better, and there's a bigger chasm, and this would rank below like Melancholy and several other Pumpkins albums. So it's not like just because Adore is my number 1 doesn't mean that this is my number 2. But it is really good. My general Pumpkins history is I thought they sucked when I was a kid, and around 2005 I had zero interest in Smashing Pumpkins, let alone a Billy Corgan solo album because I was too busy listening to freaking Quiet Riot and Rat because that's what all the cool kids were listening to in 2005. But I had actually heard this album prior to suggesting it for the podcast. When I did my binge of the entire catalog, I did listen to TheFutureEmbrace and thought it was pretty good. It didn't wow me when I first listened to it. I'm like, yeah, this is fine. Another solid album in the catalog. And upon repeated critical listens, I think this is a good album full of good songs. But there are some really bad production choices in a couple spots that really hurt some of the material. So, and I think that there's a good like 3 or 4 songs I would probably cut to make it a stronger release. But otherwise, pretty solid, pretty favorable toward it. All right, you guys ready to get into this ranking?
Do it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Ready.
Okay. So coming in as the least best thing about The Future Embrace by Billy Corgan, we've got, finally, B-Nips, the album that they appeared on. We have reached the B-Nips. We've talked about B-Nips on many an episode, but this is the album where we first saw B-Nips.
Backtrack to B-Nips.
Nightmare Pellets.
Yes. Spooky goblin's toes.
Right. The interesting thing about this is it's not an entirely uncontroversial choice in that, you know, Victor thinks 3 songs are worse than it, and Gavin and I both think a song is worse than it.
I hope it's the same song.
It's not.
Oh, you.
You're going to have a great time today, Gavin.
Oh, I'm sure I am. Greg already told me that everyone thinks I'm full of shit.
You are so
Look at my
bullshit.
rankings.
It might be you.
Uh-oh.
Gavin, you have the hottest takes on this episode. Probably the hottest takes in the history of this show with your ranking.
Wait, really? You gotta be kidding me.
You're going to be, you'll see. But yeah, B-Nips, I feel like we've talked about it so much on many other episodes that what more needs to be said about B-Nips? Even though this is the episode we should probably talk about them on because this is the album art.
I'm good.
Yeah, Billy Corgan being like exposing his bare, not tan at all skin, looking kind of unhealthy.
Form.
Wait until this comes out on vinyl and you get to see it at
Oh, that's the
double
picture disc.
double the size.
The picture disc just looks like a nipple.
And it's in the shape of his birthmark.
Just a giant Billy Corgan nipple.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
It's perfect because then the thing that you set it on, that's the actual nightmare pellet.
The
sticking
spindle?
through. Yeah.
You know, the worst part of this entire plan is That was a Bloodhound Gang album. Bloodhound Gang did that. They had one of their CDs said, "Hold up to the mirror, stick tongue through hole."
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah, the album was called Hooray for Boobies. The Bloodhound Gang are bad people, but that's neither here nor there. So is Billy Corgan.
Are they the band that did that "You and Me, Baby Ain't Nothing But Mammal" song?
You know it.
Oh yeah.
I like to think of Bloodhound Gang as cake for children.
I just remember
Or
that cake exists.
Either that or cake is the Bloodhound Gang for grown-ups.
Well,
Whichever way makes you sadder.
I mean,
since they
both
came
make
up-
me sad.
Since they came up, Cake is alternative rock's AC/DC.
Ugh. Everything about this is terrible, and I just want to move on. Can we move on?
These are all the
from
best
this
hot
terrible-
takes. Wait,
Is
it's
this song about jizz?
sorry. I meant to hit H for hot take, but I hit T for gross sex.
Oh, you didn't hit J for,
Sorry?
you didn't hit J for jizz question?
No, it's not that specific.
All right, so are we done talking about bean-ups? Ready to move on?
Yes.
No, I jack off really loud.
So, coming in above Bean-Ups as the least best song on this album, a song I gave 11 points to.
Yep.
But for notes on the math, the reason that I gave it 11 points is because I counted Bean-Ups as a song on this album. So the best song on the album got 14 points because I counted the songs plus the bonus track plus Bean-Ups. But yeah, I gave 11 points to this one. I'm ready. Next on the list.
This is fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This has that extreme Greg energy, just like optimism, take on the world. I'm ready. Yeah, let's do it. I'm an anime main character, and I have a nasally voice.
So
This is full on Greg energy.
So we were talking about shoegaze masterpieces earlier, and this is like the one song on the album that I think should be way less shoegazy. I think the big problem that it runs into is that it probably has one of the most pronounced beats in the album. Like the drum machine in this one is much more distinctly, a solid holding down the tempo drum. And it's got some good start stops throughout that in a regular song would be real start stops where all the guitars mute, but they just sort of keep the synths just like through them the entire time. And it's like all the dynamics that the song should have are not there. So
that's the whole album. All the dynamics that should be there are not.
But it works sometimes. I think in this song in particular, it does not work.
Well, yeah.
I'm actually going to agree with your assessment to a degree, in that I think this is a song that is definitely hurt by the production, and as established on many other episodes where you say I'm full of shit, but it's coming to fruition here again, where I think the writing of the song outshone the issues I had with the production.
Outsparkled the production?
Outsparkled the production.
Let's be
And outshone
honest.
the sun.
If there was a keyword that Billy was using for production on this album, it would be sparkle.
Yeah,
He
but
just watched Twilight and he was all stoked.
Was that out in 2005?
I don't know. The internet
Yeah,
does.
Played Edward.
2008.
Oh,
The
okay.
future Edward.
The future Edward.
Yeah, I think this is just. I think in terms of the melody, which I know, shocked that I talked about melody on this show. First time happening on the show, but I think the melody is really strong. The lyrics are really strong. It's got good hooks. Some dynamic issues, but in terms of the writing, I think this is one of the best written songs on the album, and so I really dig it. And just I don't know that optimistic energy. It's really easy to get me with those.
I just have a memory of driving around the first time that my friend Fritz and I listened to it. He was my sole Pumpkins friend back in the 90s and aughts. And I remember we were driving around listening to this, and he just got so angry when this came on. He was just like, all right, Jesus Christ, enough. And I wasn't exactly sure exactly what he was angry at, but I think that it has probably cast a shadow on the song for me, and it is definitely the worst song on the album.
I'm going to go ahead and disagree that it's the worst song on the album, but it's certainly not the best, right? It's kind of right in the middle of the pack for me. I really didn't like it when I first started listening to this album, but over time, I wouldn't say I like it, but it's whatever just below like.
That's high praise.
Yeah. Well, and in my notes, I mean, first off, every song except 3 in my notes opens with the same 3 words, which is "I miss Jimmy."
Oh boy.
But I wrote, this could have been a lackluster Zwan tune. Instead, it's now a mediocre Billy Corgan tune. Again, Jimmy is missed.
I just lump it in with like "Come On, Let's Go" and "Baby, Let's Rock" and those kind of songs I don't like very much. Just I'm ready for love. You know.
Yeah, any of his
I think it's much stronger than those two in particular.
Not much.
Oh, I'd do "Baby Let's Rock" over this.
Baby Let's Rock has a pretty sweet riff.
Or no, I meant "Come On, Let's Go." Sorry.
God damn it!
Nice setup.
So Victor, you hate that Greg energy, so you rank this at the bottom.
Just despise it. To me, this song is Billy Corgan predicting Lord. Just the mere existence of Lord. And this is him on the way to the club, which is in another song on this album. So sequencing wise, it's way not in the right spot. Because he goes to that club later, and I will be sure to bring that up. But this is just like, I feel like Greg energy does usually imply the existence of dynamic change-up, and this song does not have it. So that was kind of surprising to me. But yeah, this was my last place song, well below the B-Nips barrier. Yeah, no thank you.
All right. Well, I think we've beaten that one into the ground. So next up on the list,
into the ground.
Softly beating it into the ground. Next up, we've got "Sorrows in Blue."
I don't know. This one just grates on me.
Yeah,
It's pleasant enough,
I
but
can
there's
see
nothing to really make it stand out. Like every time I listen to it, I was like, it's not got anything that the others have that make me want to listen to them again.
This song might have.
It's kind of there.
Oh, sorry. This song might have actually stopped me from buying the album a few years ago. In that this was one of the ones that came up on my Pandora rotation, and after a couple listens, I was like, wait, I don't like this song. Thumbs down, Billy Corgan?
If you're going to listen to Blue, you want Them in the Skies Bringing Tears, am I right?
no, I'd rather just listen to Blue.
I'd rather listen to "Blue Away."
Yeah, that one's good.
Yeah, it is good.
Just as long as it's not "My Blue Heaven."
Which is
Awful.
great.
Awful. The worst.
Awesome.
How many
Sub
songs with
Pasticcio.
Blue title does he have?
So my general thoughts on this one
Or
is
Blue
that
Away.
That one's good.
Sorry.
yeah, we already said that.
Oh shit. Sorry, go on. I'm sorry.
All right. So,
You can anagram blue to get most of bullet
Ooh,
with butterfly wings.
Blew it with butterfly wings.
Blew it with butterfly wings.
It would be better than Bullet.
so I think on this song in particular, not comparing it to much better Pumpkin songs with Blue or rearranging the letters for better songs, which you can do. So look, this is.
I think lube is the only true anagram, or blue like the cheese.
Blue, blue away.
That
When you don't want to chafe.
So for me, this is the least good of the memorable songs. And so I can remember the hook, but it's not super great. It's just sort of standard moody Billy Corgan, but of a lower quality than you usually get from moody Billy Corgan. And so I don't think it's bad, but there's so many other examples of him doing the same kind of thing better. But I would say it's not necessarily a skip button for me, but it's not wowing me either. And it's the kind of song where if I kept listening to the album, I could see myself growing to appreciate it more. But as it stands currently, that's why I ranked it where I did.
Well, I think this song highlights a problem that, for me, exists throughout most of the album, which is detrimentally boring drum parts. And I'm not saying that it needs to be, like Jimmy at his most explosive or anything, but just something with
oh, look at the drummer's got opinions on drums.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, it's just the drums are mixed too loud in a lot of these songs, and it's the same thing for most of the album. So it really starts to give you the impression of you're just listening to the same song for 45 minutes, which is weird because Billy has, in the Pumpkins, had interesting drum machine parts. You look at like Saturnine, Blissed and Gone,
The entire Adore
stuff
album?
like that. Well, not all
large
of it,
parts
but yeah,
Adore.
some of it, yeah. I just don't know why it just got so monotonous and...
Heck, even 1979 and The End is the Beginning is the End, which are pretty repetitive drum machine parts, are still interesting.
Well, I want to say End is the... I always get the End is the... And the beginning is...
The electronic-y of the two.
Oh, the slower
The better one.
Yeah, the good one.
Oh, I like the faster one, because I think Kenny Aronoff plays drums on that one.
That's great.
Those
I'm
goggles.
glad he plays drums on the less good one. Good for him.
Well, he did play drums on the tour for the
Fucking
Let's Good
ruined it.
Smashing Pumpkins album.
He's a great drummer. It's just that version of the song isn't as good. It's nothing against him. He just played on the less good version of the
Oh,
song.
no, I mean, I agree now. I use, yeah.
I think
So what are we arguing about?
Nothing. I said I liked
Why
the other
are we
version,
yelling?
and you told me it was my favorite.
He ruined it, dude.
Fight.
So I just realized Victor's rank is really high because you like boring electronic music.
I do. I think this was melodramatic in a way that I could kind of appreciate, like just such a sorrowful chord literally being used to say the word sorrow is just so hilarious.
So on the nose.
I mean, that's part of
And-
the appeal.
I think in defense of all of your arguments so far is I don't have a lot of exposure to more moody, melodramatic Billy Corgan songs, so maybe this is the best one I've ever heard. I don't know.
I'm sorry.
This is kind of right on the line of where I think the songs are either good or just being like sort of the needle just barely hits towards positive. It's kind of on the line between truly positive and just like barely. But
This is one of your highest ranked too.
oh yeah. Well, as I said when I was talking to you. When I was talking to you, Greg, I think if you took all of the best parts from every song on this album, you'd have half a really great album.
Honestly, Billy Corgan tends to write long songs, so if you took all the best parts from this album, you'd have an entire really good album.
Isn't this album only like 45 minutes?
Yeah, this
Short
is really
album.
short.
Yeah, this one's
This
short.
is a very agreeably lengthed album, even with Tilt.
Feels, ooh, no.
No, I don't love Tilt, but like even when you put that in there, it's only 50 minutes.
But
Speaking of Tilt,
oh, is it not?
it is.
That's fair.
Segue.
That's fine.
I got a
Sorry, it was
transition
such a
drop.
good segue. I had to do it.
Tis
Yeah.
a mighty bottle of beauty.
That wasn't a good transition at all, Willie.
But yeah,
I'll say it.
Tilt is next.
I miss Jimmy.
Hit the drums, Jimmy.
I can't remember what Tilt sounds like, and I'm sure I was forgetting how it went as I listened to it over and over. And it's a forgettable wash of noise.
How did you end up on this panel? You liked a Smashing Pumpkins song once?
Yeah, I heard Bug Superstar and went, "This is my favorite band now."
Oh, that's an episode I can't wait for.
You were like,
Oh,
I
me
love
too.
that drummer.
So
Yeah.
here's what I love about this. Craig just attacked Gavin for his opinion on this, and you guys put in the exact same spot as did Victor.
No.
almost-
It's his descriptions of. I mean, in terms of ranking, I don't disagree with it, but it's literally every time he describes a song, I feel like he's the one on the panel who is hearing Billy Corgan for the first time.
I think
Yeah,
that's
I feel like the
especially-
tables have turned a lot in this podcast where I'm no longer like the negative Nancy on the Pumpkins. I'm defending a good chunk of it against all you guys.
Like
Basically
literally,
every episode.
the last few episodes, the ones before American Gothic, I came in getting fully prepared to be angry at Greg and left angry at Gavin every time.
for Zwan.
No, even stuff like Machina and Machina 2 with your ridiculous views. Let's carry on.
Oh, we do nothing but carry on here.
I just think the song's kind of boring and forgettable. It's not bad while listening to it, but it just doesn't stick with me. And I think that's just why I ranked it where I did. It's not a very memorable song. But Steve, you ranked this very high. You gave this 11 points.
Yeah, I ranked Tilt pretty high because it sounded like it could have just as easily been a decent album track. Like, I recognize cutting it for purposes of album flow, but I feel like several of the songs that this would have been equivalent to on the album, it was stronger than them. So I think, I would have liked to see this one left on the album and one of the weaker songs cut out instead. Also, I'm just looking at my notes to see my snarky comments, but I don't remember exactly how the song goes, but I have the line, "I will be Nips this time." Thank you for your laughter. Yeah, I only listened to this one twice, I think, but I thought it was good. I would have liked to see it on the album.
Yeah, there was nothing about it I found memorable. It wasn't offensive, at least not as offensive as the group chat is right now. Everyone, I advise you to stay out of it.
Gavin is just going straight to SpongeBob hentai.
I think Gavin's last two entries in the group chat are maybe the two most unfortunate things I've seen in my life.
I've still not been looking at the group chat.
I'm scrolling up to see... Craig, your previous post in the group chat was B-Nips, so what's worse?
But I mean, it's appropriate for what we're discussing.
It's on topic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, B-Nips are kind of terror raviolis.
Yeah.
So, do we have any other comments on Tilt? Anybody?
It's indicative
First melody's
of
interesting.
It's indicative of a style of song that Billy has been doing since Machina, which is big washy chords and mumbly noises.
So you mean a shoegaze masterpiece?
I mean a poor Radiohead imitation. Not for Tilt. There's one song. I'm done.
Boy.
Of this dude
Tilt,
anyway.
the opening of Tilt made me think that Billy Corgan was about to spit mad rhymes, which was a really weird change-up for this album, especially... Like, that was a very bizarre choice to me.
Especially if that was the bonus track, him just, like, laying it down, spitting up the verse.
Can you imagine how good that would have been, though?
Oh
Would
my
have been
god.
pretty great.
That would have been my number one.
That would have been the second best rap bonus track on a rock album in 2005. The best, of course, being the Alice Cooper Exhibit collab Stand.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. Stand full. I remember that one.
In the place where you live.
Yeah, it was a rap rock cover of that. It was pretty great.
Oh, that does sound
Stand
good.
in the place where you live.
Is that your Alice Cooper impression?
It is now.
No, that's an Exhibit impression. He's very Canadian.
Oh, there you go.
That's as black as Steve can get.
Yep.
Is Fred Durst. Anyway, DIA is next on the list.
What?
DIA or Day?
Dia.
I think the issue with this song is that I enjoy it when listening to it, but it's not very hooky and memorable. So there's a certain tier of songs where it's just like, oh man, if I can't remember it when looking at the lyric sheet, and then I listen to it like, yep, I can see why I didn't remember this. That's why it ranked low for me.
You can blame Courtney Love for this one.
Oh yeah, it's nice to be able to blame Courtney Love for things.
Yeah. He gave her the choice between this song and another one to make the album, and this is the one she picked.
You know,
Oh, is
I'm
that
going
right?
to blame Billy
Yeah.
Corgan for letting Courtney Love make that choice. That's his fault.
Yeah. But this is a good song, though.
I think it's there are some great moments, but I don't think they're all great. That's really the only way I can put it. I didn't think it was great all the way through. I would love a bit, and then like 30 seconds later, I was like, but this part just feels like I'll never remember it.
So this This song is like halfway in the album, right?
Yeah,
it looks like
6.
Yeah, it's after A100.
So I remember listening to this album and being like, man, Billy, he spent all the money he made in his entire life on reverb pedals and effects so he could make this album.
And vintage synths.
And then when this song came on, I was like, all right, we're doing more reverb. Holy God, that's a lot of reverb. Dude, you are going to drown. You're going to drown in this reverb. Please stop. Holy shit. Oh, God, that's so much reverb, dude.
It's like he listened to The Cure and then went, I can do more. And then got Robert Smith
You're
on
right.
this album.
He listened to The Cure and said, hey, Robert Smith, help me do more of that.
Yeah.
Speaking of Robert Smith,
Wait. Is this an I Miss Jimmy song for you, Gavin?
No, because Jimmy is here. It's a yay, this song finally has some
that's why you gave it
life
points.
in a way that the rest of the album doesn't. And also, no. I just like the I just like the way he chose to whine on this song.
I feel like this track only got points because of Jimmy Chamberlain, because it's such a not memorable song.
Well,
He says tomorrow good in it. Tomorrow.
yeah.
That was great.
This one. Oh, that's why Tidal kept on suggesting when I looked for this CD that I wanted to listen to Emily Autumn. She's on this song.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
Billy Corgan was like, I need more sad goths.
That explains it.
And then, if you haven't seen it, you should go watch him doing Mina Loy on Letterman, because he's got a background singer who I believe it's Linda Strawberry.
Yeah, Linda Strawberry toured with him on this tour.
But she looks like the most 2005 scene girl, kind of. It's so dated at this point.
Sounds like something I'd enjoy. By the way, can I say I'm actually surprised. This is maybe the first time ever, and I imagine that it's probably the same for some others on the panel, that aside from one song, my list has followed the exact trajectory of the overall list.
Nope.
Yeah, pretty close.
Well, yeah. Obviously not you, Gavin.
Yeah, Gavin, just get used to your ranking being wrong.
Yeah, mine jumped around a lot.
Well, actually, Tilt came in pretty close to where I had it.
And the B-Nips.
And B-Nips. Actually, yeah, B-Nips, yeah.
I actually put this one. I put this one pretty high. I like this song. It's not the strongest of songs. It's interesting with this album. Is I sort of get a sense of you can hear Billy Corgan's influences from within the last couple of years and decades throughout this album a lot more than some of his other work. It's like this song in particular, like, oh, cool, he grabbed the guitar tone from Metric and the synths from Adore, and, a sad goth girl and his usual drummer and put a song together. It's an interesting way for him to have done things. I guess, this whole album was kind of an experiment in songcraft and production.
Yeah, what if instead of doing all that shit, he had wrote a fucking good song?
Well, the trick is probably that he wrote a song that may or may not have been good, and then he took the arrangement of that song and played it on a synthesizer with too much reverb, and then wrote a different song and played that. And sang that on top of this reverb-drenched synthesizer.
In that segment, playing the role of Gavin will be Victor.
Yeah, because I put this song at number 3.
3.
Well, I think that's as we're talking about good songs being ruined by the production on this album, I think that's a great transition into our next song.
All right, I'm done talking about this great song.
It's really not. But anyway, next on the list is a stone cold classic, just an excellent song that is kind of terrible and unlistenable on this album. To Love Somebody is next on the list.
Oof.
So here's the trick. I actually think the minor key change and what he did with this melodically was really good. It's just this production just gets like grating and hits frequencies that hurts my ears when listening to it. So I am in literal pain while listening to this track, and it is annoying.
Frequency.
Because I love the original, and I think what he's doing melodically is really, really good and really, really cool. But it hurts to listen to, and I don't want to be in pain while listening to music, or at least not this kind of pain. If I want to like feel an intense emotion, yes, that's the kind of emotional pain I want from music, not just, oh wow, that's really high pitched and it's still reverbing. Oh my god, stop.
From my memory, I was ready to put this at number 13. After listening to it a few times, it made it all the way up to number 5. I have no issue with this, and I'm a huge Bee Gees fan. I've heard people murder this song. I'm looking at you, Janis Joplin.
Oh, whoa!
Actually,
come on, that performance.
Oh no, I haven't heard it. I just didn't. I didn't know she did this song.
Oh, she did. She did it at Woodstock.
Oh,
yeah, and it's incredibly over dramatic in a way that this is not. Obviously. It is the most ungoth performance you can get.
Yeah. Well, and didn't he actually get one of the Bee Gees to sing background on this?
No, he got
Robert Smith.
Oh, that's Robert Smith.
He wasn't in the Bee Gees.
Can you imagine? Wouldn't that have been amazing?
Staying alive.
Or if he like,
alive.
How deep is your love song?
Friday.
Well, you
I'm in
know
love song.
I think I remember why I thought one of the Bee Gees sang background on this, because it was around this time that Tito BG and Billy Corgan wrote a song together. Do you remember what it was called?
What?
That Tito, the one with the long hair. Tito BG. But him and Billy Corgan wrote a song together. Do you remember what it was called?
I'm not aware.
To Stand Inside Your Love Somebody.
Oh boy.
Wow.
Am I able to disconnect him, or can you guys do that?
Yeah, so the thing is, Gavin clearly does not listen to the Bee Gees, as evidenced by Tito BG.
I forgot the names of the. Hang on, I can do this because I know that. Yeah, they're brothers.
Brothers Gibb.
It's Justin Timberlake and Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, see, when he brought up Tito BG, I was like, I don't think that's his real name. Is there going to be a Jackson 5 joke in here? Because
that's what I was waiting for.
That's
okay.
Tito, yeah. Jackson 5.
It's Tito time.
Anyway, I rank this one in the same spot as Craig. My general thought on it is it's pretty good, but if I'm taking like Bee Gees covers and Smashing Pumpkins / Robert Smith collaborations, I'm going to rank this one below A Night Like This and the Chumbawamba cover of New York Mining Disaster.
Yeah, I'll be looking that up after this.
Cover.
They actually did a really good job with it. That's a true.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's a weird, ironic cover. I think in that it was their like the album after the one that you've heard of, when everybody was like, "Oh, these anarcho-punks sold out," and so they did a Bee Gees cover. And in the liner notes, they talk about like, this is old Bee Gees before they sold out with all the disco stuff.
Wow.
I was like, wait, hold on. I see what you did there. But yeah, they just did like a straight a cappella, beautiful arrangement of it. It's nice.
It's a great song.
Yeah. So, we all agree New York Mining Disaster, great song. To Love Somebody, great song.
Sgt. Pepper's, great movie.
It is.
You know what? I think it's fun. I like that movie.
Oh no, I do too. It's a hilarious, goofy footage of Alice Cooper literally dying in front of you.
I view it as just it's great visual candy. Like the cinematography is fun, the sets are great, and the music is good. It's just like, oh, it's a bad story.
Yeah.
But whatever. It's a long, fun music video.
My idea of porn is watching Peter Frampton strangle the living shit out of a Steven Tyler.
That was pretty great. That was pretty fucking great.
Oh, is that in the chat?
Oh no, that's in the movie. You can watch that on your favorite streaming service.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not the one with the hot takes here, obviously, but if there's anything,
Most
if there's
Lizzie blows.
if there's anything that would explain any problems that anybody has with my ranking, it would be that I grew up on the Sgt. Pepper movie, and when I asked my parents to buy me the record, they bought me the Beatles album, and I was so bummed. Because there is no funky ass bass on the 1967 product.
And then you said, "Fuck
There's
this!"
a severe lack of Earth, Wind, and Fire on that album.
That's right.
Yeah,
I'll stand up for it.
and that Aerosmith version of "Come Together" is obviously a classic. Whoa, really?
Yeah.
They might be the band I hate most.
I mean, I'm not I respect Aerosmith. I don't know a lot about them, but Lord of the Flies is a pretty good song.
Did you hear the horrible version of "Come Together" at the end of Justice League?
I have
Snyder cut. Snyder cut.
Yeah, as if this year wasn't just falling apart enough. Now we got to deal with another version of Justice League coming out.
Hey,
Are they actually releasing the Snyder Cut?
Yeah,
releasing it.
Oh.
It will either be 1 4-hour film or 6 1-hour installments.
And they're going back and they're doing full edits, so they're like redoing CG and stuff for the incomplete scenes. Like it's going to be a full finished product.
Huh. So what you're saying is my song that I released, a week ago, snarkily referencing the Snyder Cut, is very timely right now.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
You mean that song you released a month ago?
I mean the original version of it, but it's widely available on all streaming platforms now. Regdar and the Fighters, RF/2020.
Woo.
But yeah, Victor, you're well known as being a Bee Gees expert, massive fan, owning every album. You've been there since the beginning. What's your thoughts on this? A cover of a song from the first Bee Gees album.
With all my bona fides, such as what you just mentioned, I totally recognized that this was a cover of a different song, or the same song, rather. I knew that right off the bat, and definitely all of my thoughts about this song have a lot to do with that.
Why not share some of those thoughts?
Billy's space bar broke.
Yeah, it
did. This song production-wise reminds me of an album I love a lot called Blanco by David Bazan. And David Bazan did it better, but Billy did it first, so props. And
David Bazan,
you can tell by the way I use my walk,
2.
etc. That's all I got.
All right, fair enough. Do we have any other comments on To Love Somebody before we move on?
I miss Jimmy.
I'm done talking about Steve's creepy voice.
All right, next up on the list, we have Now and Then. I don't remember what this one sounds like. It's kind of boring.
It's got cool guitar fills that are echoey.
That'll help narrow it down.
It's got some reverb on it, you say?
Well, they're delayed instead of reverbed, I should say.
How did this one rank this low?
I mean, it's one space above where both Victor and I put it.
I put this at number 2.
A little bit too high.
No.
I had above this, actually.
Yeah, this is the second best song on the album.
My general take on it is it's either too long or it's too short. It needs to be, it's just the wrong length. Because if it were shorter, then it'd be a nice little cool down interim song after, I forget which song it was after DIA. And if it were longer, then it would just be a shoegaze masterpiece. But as it is now, it's just kind of like, man, get it together, Billy.
Yeah, actually, I'm seeming to remember this one. I think had like a good hook, but was too repetitive even for this album.
It's
strap in, everybody.
Jimmy's absence is explainable in this one. I'm fine with Jimmy's absence. This is one of the 3 where I don't put the I miss Jimmy in it. One of them, of course, being Dia because Jimmy was there. But now and then, it's very, to me, indicative of like if Suit and Stars had drums or a drum machine on it. It's a style of Billy's songwriting that I like.
I concur.
And in fact, in my notes that I took while I was a little high, but I wrote, if this whole album was like this, it would not be a shitfire fuck disc.
Wow. Steve just bought another one.
Yeah, I should probably add that to the transition drops.
That was a good one.
And Victor, how about you? What are your thoughts on this one?
This one gets a lot of points for being an actual dynamic change-up for the album. I think it's put in the right spot. I would maybe agree with Steve that it's either too long or too short. I think this one I initially had a lot higher, and then the fact that like a minute and a half into the song, it just does the guitar filling every possible cranny of audio space that there was. I tried to try really hard to not say sonic space there.
Did we just hear Julia climaxing in the background there?
Yes. Like if that didn't happen in this song, it would probably still be a lot higher on my list. But I do like this song. Okay. And it's maybe not the actual quality of the song, but the fact that it does sound slightly different for at least part of its running time from the rest of the album. So it gets points for that, but I like it. Okay.
All right. Well, any other comments on Now and Then before we move on?
Ranked criminally low.
So, next up on the list, we have Walking Shade.
Oh, fuck all of you guys.
Changed.
Fuck
Hey,
all of you.
It's exactly where I put it.
No, it's number one. It's maybe better than any Pumpkin song.
It's a little low.
Goddamn masterpiece.
It's pretty good. It's a little bit low. I think there's I gave this 9 points out of a possible 14. That is including B-Nips as a potential thing to rank, and I ranked B-Nips at the bottom. So I didn't put that many above this song. But I think it's very good. I think it's very Pumpkins-esque. I think it's very catchy. I think the production's good. Great sense of atmosphere, great lyrics, cool video. If you're a Pumpkins fan, a big Pumpkins fan, I could not see why one wouldn't like this, because this seems like one of the highlights of the album in terms of it being a good single. I think there are just some songs I prefer more. Some of them being more deep cut-esque, but I think this is a great choice for a single and just an all-around excellent song. So, Craig, if you want to attack me for my opinion, feel free.
I'm just upset with everybody on this panel right now, because this is for everybody that is like that Gavin character over there with all of his "I miss Jimmy." I mean, this is at least closest to this is as good as, I mean, this could have come out in a Door era and been killer. Like, this totally could have been a Pumpkin song. And I mean, obviously, I know, Greg, by your opinion, it technically is, but I don't know. I don't get how anybody couldn't think that this is far and away number one.
Well, first off,
I just want you so. Oh,
if I wanted to listen to,
when has he ever just went with such great melodies? Calm down, Gavin. Put it away. Oh, okay.
So if I wanted to listen to a band of a 90s to early 2000s alt rock band singing in falsetto, this podcast would be about Our Lady Peace instead of Smashing Pumpkins.
I don't know a lot of their stuff, but I'm sure that was a good joke.
They're great. I like them better than the Smashing Pumpkins overall, but we went with the Smashing Pumpkins because that's the more popular band.
Yeah.
People will click on our podcast more if we're talking about this instead of some Canadian band that had like one hit that was really big in this country.
Kind of like how there's bands I like better than Kiss, but the downloads are like, hey, man.
Amen, right?
You just need to get Chris Lathrop on to do the Anvil discography.
That isn't impossible.
Yes.
Do you know how hard it was to get him on for a loudness episode?
But he likes loudness.
After I showed it to him.
Oh, that's funny. So I had a moment while listening to this song last night, Walking Shade.
This is why we're never going to meet face to face.
I was I was listening to it, and then there was a knock on my door. I opened it, and standing there was the ghost of Billy Corgan. You know, still living Billy Corgan.
And now playing the role of Victor will be Gavin.
and Billy looked at me, and he looked me deep in the eye, and he reached out his hand and he put it on my shoulder and said, "Gavin, I'm sorry for Machina 2." And I said, "Oh, Billy, it's okay. You must have been having a rough time." And he said, "No, I was pretty okay then. I just don't know what I was on about. I just wrote some bad songs. But here, I have perfected what I was trying to do during that era. And here it is. It's a song called Walking Shade. You can have it." And I listened to it, and I went, "Oh, it's okay."
That's a high praise. Victor, you rank this the lowest.
I might hate Gavin.
Oh, wait, hold on. Give Victor some time, because I gave this 9 points. Steve gave it 8 points. Gavin gave it 8 points. Victor gave it 4 points.
It's funny now because I don't really even remember what caused me to rank it so low. Because actually, the only thing that I remember about it is the melody that I kind of liked and his performance. And I like his falsetto voice, which I think technically makes me a pervert who should register with the local government. But yeah, I don't remember why this is so low. I think it's just maybe like it's so deep into the
album.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh. Got him.
They should have all tied for 14th then. I think the song itself is just not that great. Because I do remember the melody stuff, but I don't remember a single other thing about it. I only remember him like doing that walking melody that goes up, and then he has to change into his head voice, and then the next song starts playing, and I'm like, Sorrows in Blue? Fuck yeah, this song fucking slaps.
In my time to test, I'll second guess the rest. Best song he's ever written.
I remember that part.
A kingdom for your reign, a pocket for your soul.
This is the guy who wrote French movie theme, and you're going to say this is the best song he's ever written?
No, the best song he's ever written is next up in the ranking.
Ooh, what is it?
Strays.
No!
It's not the best song he's ever written. It's fine.
This is my favorite anagram of stars.
It's my number one.
I think what happened was he wrote this song and then remembered what a great band Stars was, and then wrote the song Stars for Zeitgeist.
See, this is why Gavin makes no goddamn sense. This is your number one?
This is my number one.
Gavin is an enigma.
The album was almost over.
Because to me, this was the only thing on the album that felt like Billy was stretching himself at all.
What?
Well, he's stretching in that album booklet. If you take a look at those pictures,
Yeah, on the back cover, he's stretching out his neck there.
Stretching the bottom lip out.
Yeah,
stretching out his B-nips.
Right.
7 inches out. So
wait, hold on. I want to get this straight. So you're saying the soft song, which is very repetitive with hardly any dynamics, where Billy Corgan does a whisper vocal, is him stretching himself musically.
Greg, I know when you put it like that, of course it doesn't. But hear it out. Hear it out this way. It's the best goddamn song on this piece of shit album.
I mean, yeah, you could just say that, but like him stretching himself musically, it's a lie. Gavin, you lied. You have
so-
been caught in a lie, sir. Good day.
No. I will defend that comment by
lying more.
By lying more. Well, my first note in this is the third and final one that doesn't have the "I miss Jimmy" quote attached to it.
This song really could have used Jimmy Chamberlain.
No, I like it
I know, I'm
as
fucking with you.
just kind of it's a very atmospheric piece, which is something I think Billy does incredibly well. Like if you listen to what is the best song on Pisces Iscariot, "Spaced," that's very atmospheric and it's a beautiful piece. Stars, 17 from Adore, possibly the best thing on that album. He's got just this great knack for these little atmospheric pieces. And I think Strays is that, but it felt like he grew a bit more.
Counter?
Yes.
It's not that catchy.
No, but it's not supposed to be.
I don't think it's interesting enough production-wise to be atmospheric. I don't think it succeeds with that. I think it's just an okay song. It's not bad, but to rank it number one, I think is giving it too high a praise and more just you hated everything else so much that this being okay makes it look much better.
No, actually, you know what? I am willing to say that the first 6 songs of my ranking, which the only ones we've talked about so far out of those are Strays, Now and Then, and Dia.
And B-Nips.
And B-Nips. Well, no, B-Nips was second to the bottom for me. One song came under B-Nips for me. But I would go as far as to say I enjoy the first 6 tunes of my ranking. And I think Strays is a wonderful song.
For once, I agree with Gavin. Strays is pretty great.
Hey, hell yeah!
Don't get too excited. It's gonna fuck up after this, I'm sure.
Hey, Steve,
Especially
you gave this 3
really
points.
Yeah, I didn't. I wasn't super hot on this one. I think I would have liked it a lot better with the role that it played on the album if they'd mixed the vocals much quieter and made it at least 2 minutes shorter. Then it would have been great, like a really solid 17-esque closer. But a minute and a half instead of 17 seconds.
Victor, what about you? What are your thoughts on
I love when
Strays?
I just kill the thread like that. Like, here's my thoughts on the song. Nobody talk at once.
I called this one. It's exactly where I put it. Doesn't happen often. I'm a fucking rankings genius. I think this as the closer to this album is a masterstroke. I will go that far. I think this is a fantastic closer. It really pissed me off that I had to listen to Tilt afterwards. I can maybe see where you're coming from, Steve, on it being too long, but I think as the closer of an album, it is for this album specifically, it is just about perfect. I don't know as a song if it's actually all that good, like if I were to isolate it, but I think
even with my changes as a song, it wouldn't be great isolated. With my changes, it would be great as the closer that you think it is.
That I know it is. I liked this one a lot. This was one that like very steadily, I mean, not that it's particularly high on my ranking, it's only number 6, but that just kind of steadily moved its way up over the course of my 3 and change listens. But every time I was always mad that we had to listen to fucking Tilt afterwards. And this is another one that reminds me. I know I should have just, figured out a new sequencing for it, but I've only got so much time on this earth. And
resequencing
this is another one.
Solo albums isn't a good use of that time, but talking about them on the internet for 2 hours with a bunch of weirdos definitely is.
That's the best part of it. That's the only reason I listen to music anymore. And I think this is another one that reminds me of kind of the collective works of David Bazan as I am familiar with them, specifically the Headphones album.
You need to stop calling David Bazan different things if we're going to consider this particular album the Smashing Pumpkins album. And by David Bazan, I mean Pedro the Lion. They're all Pedro the Lion albums, retroactively.
Right.
I know, which is interesting, but when I look in my album collection, they're not called that. So
you just go through and you cross it out.
So Victor mentioned he was pretty good with the rankings. Well, he's not going to be with this next one. Next up is his number one song, Pretty Pretty Star.
Oh, hey, this is in the spot where I put it. Good job, everybody.
I think this is it's a great song. It fits in well with like the sort of like sweet and we only come out at night. Just I don't know, a very jovial, pretty. It makes me happy. It makes me smile. You know, Billy Corgan, Wishing Upon a Star. I like it. Feels good. I ranked it very high. I'm the second highest after Victor. On a different album, this would have been a number one. If there's just a couple I liked more than it. Actually, only two I liked more than this one. So yeah, excellent song. Big thumbs up from me. Craig, you hated this one.
I ranked this the only song worse than it being "I'm Ready." I don't know. I feel like every time I listened to the album, it felt fillery. Maybe.
Or you don't like happiness. That's the difference between us.
That is true.
Joy.
Well, that is true. The Walking Shade is pretty happy. The way that he's bounding about in that dreamscape in the video. I think maybe sequencing on the record has something to do with it. Like maybe it was just. I think the second half after the genius of Walking Shade. I think Sorrows and Blue and Pretty Pretty Star are both kind of filler, and then it gets to the as Gavin just told us, the wonderful Strays.
Oh,
but yeah, I don't know. Maybe if this was somewhere else in the sequence, I would have liked it more. Don't know.
But Craig, I feel like if we're gonna start downgrading tunes for being fillery, that's like half to 3/4 of this album.
I don't agree. This album is much better than I ever gave it credit for.
You think like Tilt wasn't some kind of I just need to write something? The record company needs a bonus track for iTunes.
I am not going to talk about Tilt because it is not an album track proper, but
Sorrows?
The only Sorrows and again, what I goddamn just said is Sorrows and Pretty Pretty Star both were fillery. I think everything else on the album, except I'm Ready, because that was kind of shite, is stuff I would listen to again.
Dia?
And be happy about doing.
To Love Somebody. That's a filler.
B-nips.
Those should be filled.
Oh boy.
Don't even know what that means.
I don't either.
But yeah, so Gavin, you ranked this pretty high. I'm going to have Victor go last since he made it his favorite. But yeah, Gavin, you ranked this pretty high. So this falls to the good category?
Well, I miss Jimmy. And I just say that my notes for this song were, well, I miss Jimmy. I can't tell if I like the song or if the album has beaten me into submission. Has some catchy moments. Could have been an outtake from the Adore era. But yet this song got 5. So, it's a pretty tune. It's
pretty tune.
it's fillery, but like I just said, I think a lot of this album is fillery. So it's flowery fillery.
I wouldn't say fillery. I would say album cut. And I think there's a difference between album cut and fillery. Like Tilt feels fillery.
Yeah.
I'll go with that.
This feels like album cut.
Oh, you'll go with it when Greg says it.
Yeah, well, he makes sense more.
Oh, that's the biggest dig you could get, Gavin.
I know. I'm. Wow.
Trust me, I it hurt physically when it was coming out of my mouth.
How many times I've said that?
That's right.
So
You're
Steve,
welcome.
Is this an album cut or is this filler?
I don't know that I would call it either. I feel like it's just like, I don't know, it's just a song that doesn't do it for me.
Well,
actually,
you also don't like happiness.
yeah, no, I don't like happiness. You know, you're talking about Sweet Sweet versus We Only Come Out at Night, and those are both, you know, perky, happy, melodic songs. But if you actually look at the lyrics, then they're very, you know, dark and sad on their surface. I'm not sure how sad the lyrics of this one are, but I was glancing at them, and it seems if it is a dismal song, and then it's much more hidden behind Billy's quote-unquote poetry.
Ooh, really taking a hit.
Ooh, making fun of Billy Corgan's poetry career, because it's not very good.
Hi, I'm Gavin. This should be the single.
No, no.
No, you were Victor.
No, Victor's like, this should be the single.
Yeah,
That's right.
Billy should have.
Here we go. Decisions on Billy Corgan's career by Gavin.
Yeah, well, hey,
Billy should have
put Strays Out as the lead and only single.
Okay,
put
so
clothes on for the photo session. How about that?
That too, yeah.
Hey, wait, that's almost Billy Corgan's asshole.
I hear they didn't have to. They didn't even have to put lights in the room once he, just close up.
He just entered the room and glowed.
Yeah,
Terrifying
He is
incandescence.
the pretty star.
Which is and that's what Glow is about a few years later.
Hey. Well, and that. I was gonna try and make the joke that his initial title for this album was "I'm the Pretty Star."
Oh boy.
But no! But I do remember thinking of yesterday. What he should have called this album is "Are you really going to make me put the pumpkins back together?" And then when this failed, he should have just put out an EP.
Then the first Pumpkins album would have been called "All Right, Fine."
right.
Well, I mean,
I mean-
you heard Zeitgeist.
It should probably be mentioned the day that this album came out was the day that he took out the ad asking the Pumpkins to get back together, wasn't it?
Oh, was it?
I think so, yeah.
I think it was the
Interesting.
day of the album's release. He put
God.
put out a full page ad that says, like Smashing Pumpkins is my band and I miss it and I want it to happen again. Not in those words, but very similar.
Yeah. I've realized what I have done. I am sorry for unleashing this album.
I think this album's fine.
An entire tour of playing
I'm being hard on it.
An entire tour of playing I'm Ready made me realize I miss mayonnaise.
Did you see this tour, Greg?
I did not. I saw Melancholy and Adore, and then I didn't see them again until the last one before the Shiny, the big tour. Yeah.
Yeah. So you didn't even see. You never saw Zwan.
I didn't see Swan either, and I didn't see Zeitgeist because I didn't want to sit through United States, despite what you guys said on your Zeitgeist episode. By the way, so after the American Gothic recording, I listened to the Zeitgeist episode, and I was keeping a tally. Name most mentioned Billy Corgan. Second was me. Third was Jimmy Chamberlain.
We're just ranking people by how relevant they were to the production of that album.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
So, Victor, your favorite song on the album?
Yeah, this is the one I found myself singing the most, even after the first time I heard it. And I'm like kind of dumb, and I don't have a good musical memory. Like, I could sing this song after hearing it once, and but even this song, my number one, he still uses the fucking goddamn ambient guitar preset he made once and did not question for a single goddamn song on this album. but I love the chorus of this song, and man, it's good. The bridge is kind of good.
Whoa,
and
glad I was sitting
know.
down.
There's like there's a little walk up in the bass line in the chorus that is just sweet nectar to my ears.
Sweet nectar.
Yeah. pretty nectar. And
Pretty necks. No, that's Death Grips.
I this was not my number one the first time, but then with all the subsequent, single listen and then one skim listen, I was like, yeah, this is my favorite one. Even with my production gripes, I think this is my favorite song from a songwriting standpoint. I love the melody, and I love about 70% of the production choices in it.
So was All Things Change your number one originally?
Yes.
Because that's next up on the list.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I put this at number 2. So Victor and I put this in the same spot. Great song. Great album opener. Really catchy. I love this as sort of a troll on Pumpkins fans because what better way to introduce your electronic album by saying all things change, get used to it.
Except it sounds like a song from it sounds like a Swan song being covered by Adore era Pumpkins.
Yeah. Well, I think the difference is Billy Corgan really hasn't changed his songwriting. He's just changed the coat of paint. He's changed the production, but he hasn't really shifted that much as a songwriter, in my opinion, on this release.
Yeah.
It's still very recognizable as him. And so even though you're getting the different genre, which is really just Adore 2 if you're paying attention, like there are a number of people online in the comment sections on these videos like, this is like nothing he's ever done before. I'm like, you guys were just not paying attention if that's what you think. But I think it's a cool little dig, but also I think just a well-constructed pop song, so I enjoy it quite a bit. And Victor, you put this as number 2, so tell us why this one is good.
Well, it's the first track, so I'm not tired of how this album sounds yet, which is really, really in its favor. But I do think it's a really solid, well put together song. I think it is eventually emblematic of kind of what ends up being kind of annoying about the entire experience of the album, but it does a lot of that stuff better. And sort of in the back half, he adds different elements, which he only really does on like 3 or 4 tracks on this entire album. And then the rest of the songs are just like wash of reverb and him singing sort of somewhere in there. And then there's like 2 drum loops that he goes back and forth between. But this one I think is pretty well done. Like even in context of the entire album, not the worst offender in terms of ridiculous reverb. But I think this is one that I would really appreciate a less noisy mix of.
Well, again, I miss Jimmy.
So this is what it's like when I say this metal song doesn't have melody. I'm so sorry, Steve. That's so annoying.
That's okay. I've been doing shots the entire time.
Hell yeah. But I like this song, right? I put it as my number 6. But it sounds like a demo. I want to hear the song that this grows up to be. But even this album opening demo is, I would say, better than pretty much anything on Machina 2.
I'm not sure I disagree.
There's an asshole on this call.
There's a couple that like, man, White Spider's pretty cool. I have to go look at.
There are things on Machina 2 that are better,
like
this
most
is better
of Machina
than
2.
most of Machina 2.
Oh, then most of Machina. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
100% agree. Then most of Machina 2, yes. Then all of Machina 2, no.
No, not than all of Machina 2. No.
Okay.
I'd say there's a song or two on Machina 2 that I would rank possibly below this, but I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of this one.
I want to hear anyone defend In My Body against All Things Change.
I think I did in that episode.
Pretty good. In My Body is pretty good.
You specifically said In My Body is better than All Things Change.
Yes. I foreshadowed this episode. I was like, somehow there's going to be an asshole that's going to say, oh, there's a song on Machina 2, TheFutureEmbrace. Oh.
Now I can't tell if you're doing me or Gavin.
No, that was Gavin. It should be obvious it's Gavin.
Yeah, that's pretty me.
Yeah, In My Body is a goddamn masterpiece that foreshadows how good this album was that I didn't realize at the time.
I mean, I'm really surprised that like moody Billy Corgan electronic album wasn't your bag.
Well, I mean,
we should have known this around the time of Machina 2. We should have remembered Gavin's opinions there and just applied them here.
Well, but then again, I didn't like Zeitgeist much either, and that's a, Billy Corgan rock album, which are my favorite of his milieu.
Honestly, I'm looking at my Machina 2 rankings, and I didn't much like this song, but there's a solid EP worth of material on Machina 2 that I like less than this.
Read the entirety of your Machina 2 rankings very slowly.
No, we're on time constraints, Gavin.
Gavin's trying to sabotage this.
It's basically just all the covers, especially the covers of his own songs.
Sorry, go ahead.
It just doesn't stand out like the others.
Yeah,
it
is weird that the opener is so meh.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought.
But I disagree. It sets the tone for the album, and it
has good
catchy.
momentum.
But it sounds like a demo though, and I miss Jimmy.
Oh man, speaking of missing Jimmy, I'm missing him on this Nets track. Unless anyone has things to say about All Things Change.
I miss Jimmy.
Oh, 'tis a mighty bottle of buke.
Next up, we have A100.
Oh.
Great steak sauce, great song.
You know what? Yeah, I'm good. Any other comments on A100 before we move on?
I have a quick thing about this one. So there's a series of 3 songs that are not in the correct order on this album, and that it should go I'm Ready, A100, Strays. Because I'm Ready is him going to the club, and A100 is Diva Billy at the club making eyes at me from across the room, and he comes up to me and he wants to fuck.
he could love you, home.
He wants to fuck in the reverb. He wants to come over and fuck, and then Strays is him whispering sweet nothings into my ear afterwards.
Lay with him just a little.
Oh God!
This song is as vital and important and world-shattering as the Glass in the Machines of God Saturday morning cartoons. This song is Billy Corgan once walked by a dance club wearing a hoodie that was covering his ears and his giant head, and he felt the vibrations through the ground of the bass, and he went, "Oh, celestial creativity, Father, I want to write a dance club jam, and I want to do it well." Well, God only heard the first part.
You know what I'll say about this? This is Billy Corgan's attempt at an "I was made for loving you" that was just not successful.
I wish this was an "I was made for loving you."
I mean, we all do, but this is like his attempt. Like, I could write a shitty dance pop song. That's easy. But Billy Corgan, you're no Paul Stanley.
No.
But I still think it's a cool song. I think it's the beat is good. It's catchy. It's fun. You can shake your butt to it. It's not "I was made for loving you" good.
It's the second worst song on this album.
It's interesting to think of this song as like a dance club song, in that it's got that weird fade out at the end that would not fly in a club.
That's why you would do a dance remix. That's the fade out for the album version.
And that's the only thing you change, is you just keep the volume consistent.
I was made for loving you ends with a fade, dude.
Does it?
Well, right.
Yeah.
Man, Kiss was such a terrible disco band.
They had a dance remix that went on for 20 minutes.
7:55.
Whatever.
Give or take 12 minutes.
Give or take 12 minutes.
This was one of the 4 songs on the teaser EP. So it was...
Really?
Yeah. Including 2 that we haven't hit yet. And then... one that we haven't hit yet. And... Walking Shade, which is obviously the masterpiece of this record.
Can I just say, out of the 2 songs that are left, we have my... I'll get to it. I'm just enraged about a certain song.
Yeah.
Can't wait for this.
Hopefully talking about next.
Next up on the list is Mina Loy, M.O.A.
No, you are fucking kidding me. This is an upset.
only for you. Only for you, Gavin.
I cannot deal with this bullshit.
It's okay. You don't have to deal with this bullshit till we're done talking about Mina Loy. So,
How's this song go again?
This is the one about Billy giving his old house to me, which I'm very much on board with.
Old house.
Is that not what he says?
It's heart.
Really?
I think this is
He's always had a weird pronunciation of the word heart. If you've ever watched Euphoria with his straight through your motherfucking heart.
Wow.
Yeah.
I swore to fucking God he was saying, "Can I give my old house to you?"
You know it's going to be in Chicago.
I love everything about that. It's hard.
Oh yeah, this is the one where he sings "Innocence." You know, like that song "Innocence" from that Smashing Pumpkins album.
Oh, but that was a terrible song.
Oh, I like that one though. That's why I ranked this one third from the top. It's a pretty good one.
So I ranked this high because this is Billy Corgan angst done right. In that I feel like this is, if you're wanting like that classic Smashing Pumpkins angst inside a really great tight pop song, like this is what you get on this album. Walking Shade would be the other really good example of that. I think both those songs work well together. I think this one, the visceral anger of the lyrics, I think come off stronger.
He's just so mad at that house.
No, what this song is about.
This stupid house.
Lyrically, this one is actually really clever, where he thought about, like, if there was a terrorist attack in Chicago, how would he feel? And just like the anger and rage you would feel and like wanting vengeance for that and caring about the people of the city that you love. I understand that mindset lyrically. I think it's really clever, and I think it's well produced in comparison to the other tracks now, where I think all the components work together for a cohesive piece. And so while I ranked this a couple spots lower, I respect it a lot. I think it's just well written, well performed, good concept. Like, this is a home run.
Take that guitar shit down by about 70, 80, 90, 100%. Then we're talking.
Heart to house.
Yeah, change heart to old house specifically.
Am I the only one that didn't realize that MOH stood for My Old Heart? Well, obviously,
My Old House.
My Old House. Yeah, I had no idea what MOH stood for.
Yeah, I just saw that online. I was
Mild House is my favorite genre of club music.
Oh, that's A100.
Just like, you know, Mild House. What if Daft Punk were really chill?
Daft Brat.
This is a great song. I don't know. I can't think of any other way to put it, and it's infinitely better than the next song we're going to talk about.
Well, do we have any other comments on this before we get to the number one song in the ranking?
I miss Jimmy.
All right, so before we get to the number one song in the ranking, let's go from the list from the bottom to the top. B-Nips, I'm Ready, Sorrows in Blue, Tilt, DIA, To Love Somebody, Now and Then, Walking Shade,
Dicks,
Strays, Pretty Pretty Star, All Things Change, A100, Mina Loy, parentheses, MOH. But the best song on The Future Embrace by Billy Corgan. According to this panel of experts and Gavin.
Need no instructions to know how to rock.
The Camera Eye.
You are all
very correct.
Out of your minds.
Except for Victor.
I put this at number one. Steve put this as number one. Gavin put this at the bottom. Craig put this at number two. And Victor put this at number 4.
It's like someone at one point described to Billy Corgan how Radiohead sounds. And he went, I'm going to try and do that. And then he created the world's worst verse vocal melody.
That vocal melody, I'm sorry, everyone else probably agrees. That's a really great, catchy vocal melody. I like the rhythm of it. I think it's very distinct, makes it unique. I think the production's good and crisp. I love the bass playing on this. Lyrically, it's really, really genius because you'd think Camera Eye would be about fame, but it's about the perception of people in relationships as how they see each other through the lenses of their eyes. So I think it's a really clever twist, which you wouldn't think with that title. This is a home run.
No, you know what I think of when I hear this title is there's an infinitely better Rush song called The Camera Eye.
I think that both are great. And yes, the Rush song is better, but this is still really flipping good, dude.
Oh, no, this is sub B-nips.
Do you guys just have Gavin on because episodes would make too much sense without him?
Yeah, Gavin ranked this at the bottom, and the rest of us were like, this is the clear...
Ridiculous.
I am...
I think I'm no longer the guy with Pumpkin's hot takes.
No,
I think that's you now, Gavin. Hot take Wallace-Ailsworth. It's not as catchy, but you know what?
That's a pretty catchy name, actually. I like it. My description of this song, I ranked it number one, is I said that this one would fit well with the great soundtrack songs that the Pumpkins were doing, shortly before their breakup, like the end is the beginning, is the end, and that I song that they did. Yeah. That other I song, I feel like those two sound very similar, but they're both great.
Not enough. Just a touch. Right, that one?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Or Saturnine? Saturnine?
Saturnine. I see what you did there. I don't like it, but I see what you did.
But yeah, Steve, you and I were in agreement with a number one on this album.
Yeah, that is super weird. We don't do that often.
Especially for a Pumpkins album?
Except for when it's like the one good Kiss song on an album. I mean, we disagree about it being the good Kiss song, but, we both agree that the single was the best song.
Well, this does remind me of that tune that Billy Corgan and Kiss wrote together around the time that, the Pumpkins opened for him at Dodger Stadium.
Oh, yeah. Camera Eye was made for loving you?
Well, that, but also just the Camera Eye.
I get it.
I believe in me.
I knew what you were doing. That's funny.
It just killed all the conversation. We're like, all right, we're done.
Read my To Love Somebody.
Victor, you ranked this next lowest after Gavin. Are you surprised this one?
No, not well. As the ranking shaped up, no. But I don't think I really had any idea what was going to be number one here. But then once we had gotten to number two, I got pretty sure it was going to be this one. But this song, I can kind of take or leave some of the melody in this song, but I actually like the production in this quite a bit. And the tones on the bass reminds me of System of a Down. So that's a big plus for me. At some point, I make a note here that the lyrics get horny, which is bad. Otherwise, I might have had this higher.
Is this song about jizz?
Hey, Julia's back.
What was that quote originally about? What song was that in reference to?
I don't remember. Does it matter?
It was another Smashing Pumpkins song. It was let me find it. You guys
was it on
keep going.
Zeitgeist?
It was Bleeding the Orchid.
Oh, yeah. Bleeding the Orchid.
And so, Craig, you ranked this at number two. Do you feel a little bit better about Walking Shade losing if at least this was the winner?
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem with that. I'm still salty. Speaking of jizz, I'm still salty about Walking Shade being as low as it was. But, yeah, this song's goddamn great. I don't care if it sounds like Radiohead or not.
Is that speaking of jizz because Walking Shade is the equivalent of Billy Corgan ejaculating onto a microphone?
That's just
Is that
not
what
right.
they call it now?
Come on, Gavin.
Then he sampled it as the bass drum sample.
That's right.
But yeah, Steve told me that he was sure this happened on the show before, but I can't remember the last time someone ranked something at the very bottom, and that won the ranking.
I feel like it's happened to me before, though, right? Like, wasn't that?
Well, who else would it happen to?
Well, no, didn't.
It's never happened to me. It's never happened to Hot Take Troyan. What does that tell you, Gavin?
I thought you put Bullet with Butterfly Wings at the bottom of your list, but it still made top for Melancholy.
Oh, no, it didn't win.
Oh, it didn't win. Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah,
See.
Like, in terms of, like, the bottom song of mine winning a ranking, that's never happened.
Jeez.
So even with you tanking this still won. Second place, 48 points. This had 53 points. So there was you couldn't drag it down any lower, and it still would have won.
Amazing.
That is fucked.
I mean, look, we all just agree it's a good song.
Yeah.
Just wrong. That's just how it is, Gavin. Sorry.
Some people just have bad opinions.
Usually it's me. More often than not, it's you.
Look, Radiohead is a perfectly fine band, but if you want to listen to Radiohead, just go fucking put on Kid A. Why do you gotta listen to 2005 Billy Corgan for 1997 Radiohead?
He wrote a good song.
Yeah, it was called Strays, and y'all ranked it low and buried it down down there with Walk in Shade and Pretty Star.
Hey, I had it at number 3.
So yeah, remember, Gavin,
Straight?
in the chat, I told you how ridiculous your ranking was.
Yeah. God damn.
So that's our episode, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go around the panel with general wrap-up thoughts. Craig, how do you feel about this ranking overall?
Well, parts of it were obviously ridiculous. We're going to have to rethink the panel from now on. But overall, I'm going to say it, pretty damn good album. And I apologize to 2005 Billy Corgan. I am now one of those fans that he laments about that pick up on his genius 15 years too late. However, I've never given up on him, unlike some other people on this panel who miss Jimmy.
Yeah, go ahead, Gavin.
I will not say that I have given up on Billy. I will say there was a period where I wasn't listening to him actively or enjoying his output, but I was still keeping an ear out. I almost saw the Zeitgeist tour. It sold out actually before I could get, or maybe it didn't sell out. Maybe I was just poor. Maybe I just ran out of money.
Two very different things.
Yeah. Well, did Anywhere sell out on the Zeitgeist tour?
I'm not entirely sure how that tour did.
Yeah.
I don't think it did badly.
No, I'm not. It's not Creatures of the Night, but it's not Love Gun.
It is neither of those albums. It is, in fact, a completely different album called Zeitgeist.
He's also referencing the tours, and that Creatures of the Night was a tour that didn't do well, and Love Gun was a massive successful tour.
Oh, I can see the confusion here. See, the Smashing Pumpkins are a different band than Kiss. So
but they both played together at Dodger Stadium on the same night.
Wow.
Well, see, he was using a reference point of like a comparable band in terms of success that we've referenced on the show numerous times.
Yeah.
You might have forgotten this, Steve, but we went through the entire Kiss catalog.
I did. I tried to block from my memory as much as possible.
Yeah,
Strangely, all of the trauma to my brain has made me unable to understand metaphors, apparently.
Julia in the background, like making smoothies or something?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's actually not on my end.
That's on my end. That is.
What does it say about us that we heard what we thought was either a vacuum or a blender and immediately thought it was only Julia?
It is a vacuum cleaner.
Wow.
I mean, just that she seems like the type who would use a blender or a vacuum.
Mm-hmm. In my room?
She seems like the type to use a blender or vacuum.
So, but yeah,
I'm not going to say. Yeah, I'm not going to say I'm surprised about this turnout. Just very disappointed. I'm
not angry, just disappointed.
Yeah, it's this album. It is a lot better than I initially gave it credit for. So I mean, I can't. I was kind of looking forward to this being just kind of a big shitpost fest. But I mean, like I said, I wound up enjoying a little less than half this album on a pretty good sized level.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Strays is, I think, a hidden gem in Billy's songwriting catalog. Now and Then is also great. Mina Loy is should have been a hit. The Camera Eye, well, it's not good, but it made number one, and I'm very confused, and I'm done.
Victor, how about you? You like doing weird electronic music that's kind of boring that a lot of people don't like?
Yeah.
Jesus
That's
Christ.
true.
Wow.
It's going for the jugular.
I'm just kidding. You know I like your music.
I mean, it is true though. All of that was factual. I really and truly had no idea how this ranking was going to go because I knew that most people didn't like this album, and then to have Craig of all people come in and be like, actually it's good. I really was not expecting to kind of generally agree on that point. And I thought I was going to be roasted for liking Pretty Pretty Star, and I was merely singed.
Well, you had backup. You come on. You knew I would like Pretty Pretty Star. You
That's
had to
true.
know that's got big Greg energy all over it.
It does. It has a melody. But yeah, I think generally I'm mostly pleased here. Yeah, not too terrible work, everybody.
Not terrible work, everyone.
And Steve, how about you?
I was pleasantly surprised by this album. Again, I ordered a copy of it. One of the 3 copies that Amazon still had. Even though we probably shouldn't support Amazon for their union busting and general evil, but whatnot. The ranking itself was, kind of a shit show, but that was to be expected. Everything was silly and all over the place. But, my top 3 songs were in the top 3, and that's what I feel strongest about. So, nice work on that, everybody. Nice work, Billy Corgan's nipples. You think he ever posts those pictures to his Instagram?
No, that's only on his OnlyFans.
Oh, God.
If you tip $50, I'll put up the full uncropped shots.
So I was ready to get into my thoughts, and that the joke I made derailed me.
Broke myself.
Good album. I liked it a lot. As far as the ranking goes, I'm pretty happy with it. Most of my top songs ended up towards the top of the ranking. The only one of mine that was in my top that really ended up low was I'm Ready, which I just know that song has big Greg energy and no one else was feeling that big Greg energy, so I get it. But like Pretty Pretty Star, All Things Change, Mina Loy, and The Camera Eye were all top tier songs for me, and they were all towards the top of the ranking, so I'm pretty satisfied with it, and I guess that just means I'm right about this album. Thank you.
Can I interrupt with something real quick? Around this time, we mentioned it in the last episode, but this is when Billy put up a live journal, and it is really worth reading. It is
wild.
Yeah, it's at billycorgan.livejournal.com, and the tag that you'll want to click on is Confessions. It is something else.
So you're saying what we should do for an episode is just read the live journal?
Oh, God, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
In fact, when you Google it, the first thing that comes up is the link to the Confessions tag.
Yeah, it's kind of just like a rambling autobiography, but it's got kind of the like it reads like a big run-on sentence. Like, I'm not entirely sure he uses punctuation as much as he uses a lot of dots.
Yeah, a lot of ampersands.
Yeah.
Not ampersands.
Ellipses.
The first time I ever witnessed nakedness on a woman is with my stepmother. My brother and I are fighting downstairs while my father and stepmother are up in their bedroom. As it is the early afternoon, And that's its own sentence for some reason. The general rule, as always, is to stay quiet during the day, to not wake my father. Things get out of hand between us.
Gilbert Gottfried?
And the next thing I know. Yeah, but no, that's from his post, A Declaration of Independence. And do you want to know the tags for this post?
Please.
1973, Confessions, Kicking Ass, Playing Doctor, Vagina, Writing Lines.
It's Billy Corgan.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
On that note, excellent guest, where can we find you on the internet, Gavin?
I'm going to be at billycorgan.livejournal.com/tag/confessions for the foreseeable future, recording an unofficial audiobook version of this, which I will then upload to blamo.org, which is a joke I'm sure Craig remembers or gets. I used to be, I think, Glass Spider on there.
Shocker.
On the, because both a Bowie and a Pumpkins reference, two birds, one stone. Little middle school Gavin was proud of himself. But you can find me at bentleymusic.com. Go there. And I'm on Twitter. It's Mr. Gavin. I'm on Patreon. Gavin WA.
And Craig, where can we find you on the internet?
Gavin WA is like the Andrew WK, but with bad opinions.
You know what? 100% agree.
Yeah.
Thank you. You'll find me at Glass Spider Webs, so I not only have the Bowie, but the Smashing Pumpkins and the No Doubt. I can be found on the Pods and Sods Network, which is a podcast on your podcast app of choice. We're also on Facebook. And on the web at podsodcast.com, where you can find all of the back catalog. Thank you.
Is this song about jizz?
I missed the button, sorry.
Hopefully.
I'm so glad there's a clean take of that.
Victor, where can we find you on the internet?
I am at the VictasticK on Twitter, and you can find my boring electronic music that nobody likes at James Gameboy on Spotify, Bandcamp, and Patreon.
It's got to be better than I'm ready.
And Steve, where can people find our boring cock rock that nobody likes on the internet?
They can find it at lipstickgeneration.com on all streaming services under the name Lipstick Generation, and they can find us on most other platforms that we are on under the name Lipstick Generation.
Thanks for listening to the Lipstick Panel, hosted by Lipstick Generation. Lipstick Generation's music can be found on all major streaming platforms and at lipstickgeneration.com. If you're listening to the podcast on YouTube, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know your ranking of the subject in the comments down below. Feel free to leave us an episode suggestion also. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app, please leave a review and tell a friend about our show. Thanks and rock on.